Then I want you to do front. So I want you to hold back P and go left front. So you isolate it more here. And it may be difficult because it takes practice. And then relax. A lot of you are like, now I really do have to go to the bathroom, right? Feel free, go ahead. Now, do the front right. See if you can feel that one. Now, very often when you try to do the front right or front left, you may feel the back right or the back left go. Did anybody feel like when you tried to hit the back, the front went? When you hit the front, you tried to get the back? What that means is you have parts of pelvic floors that are working for each other or doing that pelvic floor's job. That means that you're vulnerable in your quote-unquote core. And if you don't own that, you don't own, trust me, you won't own your lat or your ass or anything else. Okay? When something doesn't work, the body says, hey, guess what, Perry? It doesn't work. I'm just going to use something somewhere else. So I'm going to make it do more. And that's very often why you get a lot of tightness. Right? Now, let's talk about pelvic tilt. Now, I told you there's no such thing as a neutral pelvis because you're never going to find it. You either have one that is like really flat, right? So if I tuck my ass underneath and I have a flat butt and I flatten my back and I drive my femurs into the socket and they turn out and I walk like this, what kind of tilt is that? That's a posterior pelvic tilt. And you'll rock back and drive more on a certain part of your floor. Then you have the opposite, right? That's where you have the Instagram shot, right? This one, yes? Or it's like some kind of weird thing they do, right? So it's round the back here, butt out here, and that's called what kind of tilt? Anterior pelvic tilt. Now, what kind of tilt does your pelvis go in when you sit? You got a 50-50 shot, brother. But those who are sitting, what do you feel like you're sitting in? Posterior, because most people sit like this. So I'm tucking underneath. Nobody sits like this. Come on, you're lying through your teeth if you tell me you sit like that. That's an anterior pelvic tilt. This is a posterior. So the majority of pelvic tilts in the world are actually posterior, not anterior. And when you posterior tilt your pelvis, what happens is you flatten your ass goes flat, your hamstrings get really tight, you lose your lumbar paraspinals, you lose your multifidi. You become tight here, and weak here, and weak here. So when I put you in a pelvic rock, I'm going to automatically get you into an anterior pelvic tilt. By the way, I'm going to show you how to do it. Because trust me, you will not be able to cue an anterior pelvic tilt on anybody because they're like, what the hell are you trying to show me? I have no idea what you're trying to show me. Right? The reason I'm showing you this is because I want you to understand that a rock is not just a rock. This rock is going to explode your brain, first of all, but this can be one of the magic things that helps your clients, one, who have chronic pain in the low back or the hips or the groin, or two, an athlete that, doc, I've hit my training barrier and I can't go harder, faster, stronger, longer no matter what I do. Usually this helps because usually they have a pelvic floor problem. Right? So diaphragm number one was your diaphragm. Diaphragm number two is your pelvic floor. That's diaphragm number two. Diaphragm number 3 and 4, I'm going to let you watch this video and you'll see which they are themselves. This is a video you'll be able to get on YouTube. So when you see the guy's name pop up, go check it out. His name is Roger Fiametti. Roger Fiametti, the name will be there. And he's going to show you the first two diaphragms, starting at the top of your body and working your way down. And I'll give you the fifth one. Some people actually think there's a sixth one. So it's one of my favorite videos. So here's a representation of the body. He's going to show you 7 levels. These are actually energy levels, and they coincide very nicely with chakra points. Anybody know chakra points? They're energy points, and they're also, holy shit, points that I stick my thumb on and move it really fast and deep, and you don't like it. So diaphragm number 1 for my people yesterday, it's the skull, AKA your sphenoid bone. One bone that goes across here. Your skull bone should expand when you breathe. The second one is your neck, particularly your hyoid bone, which I'll show you on my next lecture. The third one is your diaphragm. When you inhale, look, it drops down. You can see it attaches to the spine right there, which is where your psoas sits. There's your pelvic floor as well. So this needs to act like a piston, just like a rock. A rock is going to be a piston. Very few times do people go in this direction when they're training. I need you to go up and down, up and down. That's what a rock is. So here's what I want you to see that I mentioned earlier in the day. When you breathe, that's what moves your organs. Your organs move from breathing, and they move from rocking. If your organs don't move, they get inflamed, then they get really pissed off, and they shut everything down, especially your muscles, or that one, your psoas. So your psoas attaches physically to the diaphragm itself. And you have 2 very important organs that sit behind there, or in front of the psoas, and that's going to be your kidneys. Your kidneys. So every time you breathe through your diaphragm, your kidneys should move 3 centimeters. You should write that one down. They should move 3 centimeters. If you don't breathe through your diaphragm, trust me, they ain't moving 3 centimeters. Look at that, that's magnificent, okay? That's the piston. If you don't own that piston, now we're gonna stack all the mirror muscles. All the mirror muscles, either one have to overcompensate because of a deeper creamy filling issue, or they just shut off too. Now what's very interesting, see, I don't look at breathing for core stabilization. That's the least important thing that it does. Breathing moves your organs, particularly your kidneys. And in Chinese medicine, the kidneys always relate to 2 things. The kidneys always relate to knee pain. Write that one down too. And they always relate to psoas dysfunction. The psoas relates to the kidney. And I'm like, how does that make sense? Well, if you just saw that picture, the kidneys sit right by the psoas. If you don't breathe well, then you're going to get irritation around your kidneys because they don't move. Think about not moving your arm the way you're supposed to. It's going to get irritated and inflamed and lose its overall efficiency. And then if the kidney gets pissed off, then the body says, hey, my kidney's way more important than my psoas, so the last thing I'm going to let you do is get a lot of movement and irritate my kidney, so I'm going to turn off your psoas. Which means it still works, but it's weak. You follow? So the rock here is going to be really, really helpful because I'm going to start to move the piston here, which is going to get you into hip flexion, which is what your psoas does. Because the way I'm going to show you how to pull back on your hands, you will actually be physically bringing your knee into resistance, which activates your psoas, which flexes your hip when the bottom leg is on a stable base. You understand that? So if I put my feet under anything or my knees under anything and I'm on the ground, if my feet are on the ground and I flex forward, I'm using my psoas to do that. When my knee is on the ground and I'm rocking forward and I'm pulling myself forward, which you'll see and I'll show you, I'm using my psoas. And I'm using my psoas as I lengthen my booty. So when I go into hip flexion, this guy still works, but he slows this guy down. You follow? If this guy can't slow this guy down, he comes in too fast. And that's when you get the groin pull, the hip pain when you're a runner, because your ass doesn't work. And everybody says, you gotta have a groin problem, you gotta treat your groin. Yes, but you better look at my junk too. That's the technical term. Insurance companies love it when I put that. I treat it as junk. I don't take insurance, so that's the joke. All right? So I'm trying to build this up to you and say, this is some really cool shit. And then when I do that, I'm going to show you how to get some releases in that. We're going to do some variety, some variation, and variability. Now, the difference between those are a couple things. So one is going to be the position you put your body in. Like my knees can be wide, my knees can be close. My knee on the left can be forward, my knee on the right can be back. My right foot can be dorsiflex, my left foot can be plantar flex. I can turn my fingers out, I can cross my fingers like this, I can look left, I can look right, I can make a smiley face, I can make a frowny face. Every single time I change something, brand new habit. Ooh, new thing, no habit. That's new. That's really cool, man. I've never done that before, your brain says. That's exactly what Chivo said, didn't he? Make it different every damn time. Right? That's fun. Then you can have variety or variation. That's where, okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change up the surface that I'm doing it on. I'm going to do it on the hard floor today. Then I'm going to do it on the carpet tomorrow. I'm going to do it outside the third day. You follow? I'm going to do it with shorts on so my knees hit the ground on the next time, and I'm going to do it with full pant on so my knees don't hit the ground. Different sensory input. So if I get you into the same exact movement and it looks identical, but you have shorts on in one and you have long pants on the other, different movement. To what? This, and that's all that matters. And you can go even more crazy. Think like it. You don't have to change up exercises a ton. You come into me on day one, we're going to do the Infinity Rock today, and I'm going to put on some Iron Maiden when we do it. Yes! Or Motley Crue, even better. And then next day you're going to come on in, and I'm going to put Liberace on. Completely different environment, completely different movement. You follow? Or what I'm going to do is today we're going to do it outside when it is, -9 out there or something? It's effing cold, that's all I know. I'm going to do it outside in the cold, and the next time, hey, let's do it in the Bikram room. Let's toast you, let's cook you. Completely different movement. You have endless ways to train someone. Remember what I said about a concept. Then you just do whatever you want for a technique, okay? So the 3 V's, if you want to learn more about the 3 V's, I'm going to tell you one of the best books that you can get. And a very dear friend of mine, she was actually a guest on my podcast and my vidcast. So if you're not already a subscriber to my podcast, here's blatant promotion right here. Go to iTunes, type in this name, Stop Chasing Pain, and subscribe. I got some of the smartest cats in the universe on there that I've learned from, and I just share it with you all for free. And if you go to my website, you can click on my YouTube channel, and I do like a Stop Chasing Pain TV show. And I want you to look up the interview. Some of you may already know her or have her book. Her name is Joanne. It's 2 N's, Joanne, Elphinston. Anybody know Joanne? Elphinston, Elphinston, Elphinston. And it's called, what time do I go to, by the way? Anybody know? What time is my talk in? Anybody know what my end time is? It better not be now, that's all I know. Sometimes I just get in the time zone, I'm like, dude, it's over. How much time I got, like an hour? Half hour? Shit. Okay, we'll show you the rock. It's stability, sport, and performance. Stability, sport, performance, and movement. Get volume 2, stability, sport, performance, and movement. And she'll go over the 3 V's. Great book, all right? All right. You guys ready to see the movement? All right, cool. I'll show you up here, and then we'll all go through it together. All right. So I'll show you a side shot. When we do the movement, right, hands go below the shoulders, knees go below the hips, ankles dorsiflexed, toes extended, right? Then I'm going to separate the knees outside the hips just a little bit. Now, I'm going to have you guys do a normal rock. A normal rock is where you're going to sit back towards your heels. That means you spring load, you extend your big toe, which usually lacks extension in the first place. Your big toe needs 65 degrees of extension for an optimal gait pattern. 65 degrees. Now, what you're going to have to watch out for is this. So here comes the booty shot. Okay? Don't run away frightened. Okay? If I come back into my toe and my toe doesn't extend, my body hits a block and he says, screw that shit, that's too hard. I'm going to move around the block. So what happens is that very often you'll move the center of the toe. Your foot can come in or your foot can go out. So if the heels should try to stay perfectly level going to here. If you find that your heels are out or your heels are in, that usually means that you're hitting a bony block in your big toe. Now, I'm okay if you move around that for now. I just want you to realize if you can't sit straight back into it with your heels locked and loaded straight, that typically means you have a lack of mobility in the big toe that you need to look at. Just going into it will start to free it up, okay? So a normal rock, I want you to watch here on my lower back and my pelvis and see if you can tell what happens. See if it tucks underneath or if it rounds in the back, okay? So if I go flat or I go J-Lo, something like that. You got it? You guys know what J-Lo is? Okay. So watch, I'm just going to rock back a normal rock. Watch my pelvis. When I hit rock bottom, what does it look like it does? It looks like it tucks up underneath, right? That's what kind of tilt? It's a posterior pelvic tilt. I want to try to pull you out of that, right? So what I do is this, okay, I'm thinking, all right, well, I want to try to activate and zero in on my core, but I also want to activate and get me into an anterior pelvic tilt. But I also want to activate the posterior part of my body, and I want to get, for the system, I want to get my glutes firing and my lats firing. So that's a sling that goes from lat to glute, the X pattern of power across the back. So I'm going to lock that in, which gives me posterior chain stabilization, okay? And I'm going to lock in the anterior chain with the pull. So when we do this, it's going to look like this. So your hands will be here. Your hands will be here. And what you're going to do is you're going to try to pull your hands back towards your knees. You see this? But you're not going to slide. So it can be tough depending on the surface that you're on because you're going to pull back, not grip the ground. So don't grip the ground with your fingers. That's different. Watch this. Think of like there's Velcro here, and it won't move. Watch what happens as soon as I do that. Watch. Everybody see it? So I could say, tilt your pelvis forward this way. Or what I can do is slowly pull my hands back towards my knees. As soon as I pull my hands back towards my knees, my pelvis tilts forward. I engage the brace here. I lock down my transverse abdominis. I lock down my lats. My lats go boom. And then that fascial tension goes to the opposite glute and locks in my glute. So now my posterior chain is locked and loaded for stabilization. My anterior chain is locked and loaded for stabilization. Then I'm going to do my rock. We're going to do a forward rock, and then I'm going to do the infinity after that, as you do the Kegel that I showed you before and the Pugel. I'm going to throw a lot of shit at your brain to take care of. So now, let's do that one first so you can feel the difference of going just forward and backwards without the pull. And then I'm going to have you do a few repetitions where I say, squeeze P and rock, squeeze poo and rock. And then I'm going to say, squeeze front left P, front right P, back left poo, back right poo, and rock. Then I'm going to show you how you do the infinity, because the infinity is where we do a circle pattern, because then I'm going to load your shoulder joint and your hip joint. So I'm going to get the joints involved with the stabilization here. So that's lighting up, loading the joint for proprioceptive feedback. Are you ready to try the basic rock? Yes or yes? Yes. Okay, find some room where you can rock. You could even use the stage. I don't care. Go wherever you want. My end time's going to be, what, 12:25? Yes. Okay. All right. So start position, okay? I want you to put hands below the shoulders, knees below the hips, ankles dorsiflexed, toes extended, at least on the first one, okay? Now, separate your knees so they're outside your hips, where they typically line up with the outside of your hands. Keep your head in neutral for now. If you have wrist pain, go on your knuckles, right? Now, all I want you to do is don't pull back with your hands at all. All I want you to do is slowly sit back towards your heels and pay attention to what your pelvis does and how stable you feel in your pelvis and in your body when you sit back. Go. Just sit back towards your heels. And then now what I want you to do is rock slowly forward, but this is how far I want you to go. I want you to go until your shoulders reach your fingertips. So load up on the shoulder. Go to your fingertips. Now sit back again without pulling on your hands. Notice what you feel for stabilization or how vulnerable you feel. Just give me one or two more. Of course, you have to get into some wrist extension here, which most people don't have because they live in wrist flexion. All right. Now, stop in the center. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take your hands, and what you don't do is don't squeeze the ground like this. I want you to just lightly pull back towards your knees, but don't slide your hands. When you pull back towards your knees, do you feel your abs kick in? Do you feel your lats kick in? Do you feel like you want to stop breathing? Most of you will, okay? Now, don't stop pulling back towards your knees. Never stop pulling back towards your knees. Now sit back towards your heels. And notice the difference. You'll go more into an anterior pelvic tilt. Some of you won't. And then come forward. Keep pulling, but come forward to your fingers. When you're there at your fingers, you have to control it. Otherwise, you're going to go face first. That's eccentric control. Keep pulling as you sit back again. Don't hold your breath. And go towards your fingertips. Give me one more and then relax. And then breathe. Do you feel the difference with that? Yes? It locks in everything. Did anybody feel a difference in your pelvic floor? So if you notice when you pull back, it relaxes your pelvic floor. It relaxes your pelvic floor. If you feel like, dude, it didn't relax anything, well, that usually means you're probably overworking. Now what you're going to do is this. You're going to do that same rock, but I'm going to ask you to, one, as you do it, hold back urination. I'm going to say you can't go pee, okay? So get down into your start position. Separate your knees again. Ankles dorsiflexed, toes extended. Pull your hands back towards your knees. Now, squeeze off urination. Do a Kegel. Just the front. Now, keep pulling and sit back towards your heels as you hold the Kegel. And don't stop breathing. Pull yourself forward towards your fingertips. Keep holding the Kegel. Don't stop breathing. And give me one more. Watch your breathing. Notice if when you get towards the back or the front, you lose the pelvic floor or you want to pull from the back one. And then when you're done with that last rep, you relax in the middle. And if you want to wring out your wrists, you can because you're loading them and it might be a little bit uncomfortable. All right, now you're going to see the difference with number 2. So this time you're going to say, you can't go poo, buddy. You got to hold that. And notice if you feel a difference, okay? It's freaking exhausting, isn't it? Now, hands below the shoulders, knees outside the hips, ankles dorsiflexed, toes extended. Pull back towards your knees. Hold number 2. Don't hold number 1. And sit back towards your heels. And don't go to the bathroom either, okay? And back again. Hold number 2. Keep breathing. Give me one more full rep. And relax. Anybody feel the difference between the front and the back? I know some of you did, but it's hard to say, yeah, I had a hard time with poo. Right? I get it. Right? Now, that's a basic rock. Now I'm going to show you the infinity rock. Now, is it easier for you to see it if I do it up here or if I go in the center and show you? Here? Okay. Now, I want you to envision when you're on all fours, right below here in your starting position, this is the center of your 8. This is the center of your 8. Now watch my infinity. I'm going to go up towards the right shoulder, up towards my hands, over to my left shoulder, back to my center point, down outside where my feet are, back to the center of my feet, to the outside of my feet, back up here. So the infinity symbol is going to be like this underneath me on the floor. Like this. You follow that? So what you're going to do now is instead of going front to back, you're going to go around the circle. And you're going to load up left shoulder, right shoulder. I don't care which way you go because you're going to go both. Left shoulder, left hip, right hip. Zip, bip, bip, bip. So I'm going to load the joints, and then I'm going to actually have you hold the Kegels as you hit the quadrants. Remember when we drew the circle? And then I put the lines through the circle? Now you're going to go into each quadrant as you're holding the poo and pee. Thank you. And then you'll feel a difference of whether you can hold it or not. So it looks like this. If I'm here, I don't care which direction you start because you'll end up going both. If I pull back, I'm going to hold. I'm just going to do basic, no pelvic floor just to get it. I'm going to pull. I'm going to go up towards my fingers on the right, load the right shoulder. Up towards the center, over to the left. I'm going to circle back to the center. Sit back into my right hip. Circle to the center, sit to my left hip, circle back to the top. Right? Then I can do the 8 this way a few times, and then I'll do the 8 the other way. So I'll sit back this way. I'm not going to tell you which way to do the circle normally. I'm going to tell you here so we all stay together. But somebody, when I say do your circle, some may go right and some may go left. That tells you a lot. They're going to go to the side they feel more comfortable with. They're going to go to the more stable, safe side, which means if I make them go the other way, it won't be as efficient because they didn't choose that way on their own. Or, like Chivo said, that's habit. So what I'm going to do to explode your movement pattern is make you go to where the habit is not, the other way. Do you understand? Or I may make you go backwards first. You follow? So we're going to do this one just with the rock, no pelvic floor stuff. Then we'll do one pelvic floor front and back. And then I'll show you a variation. And then I'll show you the pelvic lymphatic hack release to accelerate this even more. And then I should be done and you'll have lunch. And then you can, of course, then go to the bathroom. You guys with me so far? Any questions so far? Okay, back into your loaded position. You're going to follow my lead on this one, okay? Now, hands below the shoulders, ankles dorsiflexed, toes extended, knees outside hips, right? We're going to go pull back towards your knees. You're going to go towards the right shoulder first. So keep pulling and go towards your right shoulder. Now go towards the center. Don't stop pulling. Go to your left shoulder. Go back towards the center. Go to your right hip. Sink to your right hip. Go to the center. Go to your left hip. And go back to the center. Make an 8. Go up to the same way again. Same shoulder. Right shoulder. Over the center. Left shoulder. Don't stop pulling. Sit to the right hip. Sit over to the left hip when you're down. And come back to the center. And relax. Now you're going to go the opposite way. Which way did we do first, right? So now we're going to go left. Lock and load. Pull back towards your knees. Circle towards your left shoulder first. Over your left wrist. Over the center. Over your right wrist. Back to the center of your body. Sit back towards your left heel. To the center. Sit to your right heel. Come back to the center. And repeat. Don't stop pulling. Don't stop breathing. It's going to exhaust you. And relax. So do you feel the difference when you load the joints? Your hip, if you have a hip restriction, it's going to feel different one and the other. But I already told you if you have a hip restriction, you got a pelvic floor issue. So now you ready to do Pegel and Pugel? Yes? Okay. So we're going to do the 8. So here's what we're going to do. I want you to pull back towards your knees. You're going to go over the right shoulder first. Hold back P. Hold back P. Go over your right shoulder to the center. Go over your left shoulder. Notice if you can still hold it or not. Go over to the center. Sit back towards your right hip. Keep holding P. Go to your left hip. Come back to the center and stop. Keep holding. Now, go over your left shoulder. Left shoulder holding P. Back to the center. Back over the right shoulder. I'm sorry. Back to the center. To your left hip. To your right hip, come back to the center and relax. You feel the difference? Like maybe one side you felt more comfortable going into the quadrant than the other? And now, you're going to hold number 2. So hold back, poo. Pull back towards your knees. Hold number 2. Go over your right shoulder. Back to the center. To the left shoulder. Back to the center of your body. Hold the number 2, keep pulling, sit back towards the right hip, then go to the left hip, then stop in the center, keep holding, then circle the other way. And notice the difference that you feel. That's just 1 rep. Normally you got to do 8 to 10. And then relax. Do you guys feel the difference? Yes? Now, why is this so valuable? 1, because here's how I'm going to help you. If you have a pelvic floor that doesn't work enough or works too much, what you're going to do is this. So you want to write this down. I want you to do, number 1, do a regular infinity rock, right? Shoulder to shoulder, hip to hip. Do at least 4 one way, 4 the other way. Okay? That's going to relax your pelvic floor. Then what I want you to do is, then you're going to do the infinity rock again, and I want you to do 1 holding number 1, and do another one holding number 2, and I want you to do another one holding them both. Okay? So you're going to relax the floor first, then I'm going to strengthen the floor. So what that means is, if I relax the floor that's already relaxed, I don't care because I'm going to strengthen it afterwards. All right? If I relax something that's already working a lot, I'm going to relax it first, then I'm going to integrate it second. So either way, I don't care what the hell your floor is doing. It's a win-win. Score column, check it off. And here's what you're going to notice. Your athlete is going to be harder, faster, stronger, longer. Your runner's going to say, holy shit, I went to run and I was a damn gazelle. Or my deadlift got better. My overhead press or clean got better. I had better endurance. So when do you do this? Anytime you want. Move it, work it into a movement prep, work it into a training routine. Like, here's an idea. Why don't you do the bench press that you live for on Monday, because Monday's Universal Bench Press Day, then get down on there and do that shit for me. And then when you get back and do another bench press, you're going to say, holy hell, my bench was better. I'm doing more of that. And then maybe you can do it at the end of your workout, too, to send it home. So you do it wherever the hell you want, all right? And you can still do regular rocks, too. Does that make sense? This, I'm telling you guys, is going to change a person's life, because I see it all the time. Now I'm going to give the cherry on top. You want to see the cherry on top? I'm going to show you the reflex point that you're going to stimulate to help the pelvic floor. Anytime you have a pelvic floor problem, you have to check this one area, and I'm going to give you a bonus one to check. But somebody's got to be comfortable with me checking along the inguinal area here. Especially anybody in this room is dealing with chronic back pain or hip pain and you're tired of that shit, you should probably let me look at you. Come on up, Chief. You guys okay from up here? Let's see you. I think I got like 2 minutes. You can go. Thank you. What's your name? What is it? Damn, that's a cool name. How you spell that?
Z-Y-G-I-S.
Okay, I'll take your word on that one. All right? Here, why don't you come up here and lie on your stomach? All right. You can support your head if you want to. Stack your hands like that. Okay. All right, you guys know what the sacrum is? The sacrum is the bottom of the spine right here. The sacrum is the reflex stimulation point for your pelvic floor. So I'm going to move your pant down a little bit. So the sacrum, if you feel the sacrum, it will very often feel puffy. You know, sometimes it almost feels like a fat pad on the sacrum. If you feel that, right, that's really an inflamed pelvic floor. But if you stimulate this anyway, even if it's not puffy, it's a reflex point for your pelvic floor. So I'm going to dig into your sacrum. You okay with that? So I usually take my fingers, or I can take a lacrosse ball, or I'm going to take my knuckle, and I'm going to move around the base of the sacrum. So I'm right at the base of the sacrum between the two bones here called your PSIS. You know those two big bones back there? And then on this side. And I'm going to work both. Do you feel any tenderness in these, or you're okay? More on the right or the left? Right. The right. Right. So I'll go in here, and I'll work each one for about 10 to 20 seconds. And then now I'm going to slap your ass, brother. This is an Instagram moment. Anybody want to tag it? This is where you do the slap technique here. Okay? Who's your daddy? Who's your... This is fucking priceless, man. Right? Okay? Like this. But I didn't think you were doing this when you woke up today, did you? All right? All right? And then what you do is after you do that, then you do the rock. Right? And then the next one I'm going to show you is a freebie. Turn on your back. It's okay if I check along the inguinal, the groin. All right? Along the crease of your groin here, you've got lymph nodes that sit there. Okay? These lymph nodes can get clogged, and then it causes you to have pelvic floor dysfunction. By the way, you might want to know that when that clogs up for women, it's virtually impossible for you to become pregnant, because you have such inflammation in your pelvic floor and around your uterus, the body will say, no, that ain't happening. So if you stimulate here, you significantly increase your chances of becoming pregnant, right? So which way you leaning, man? Left, right? Know what I'm talking about? Okay. Okay. You leaning left? Okay, I'm going to go right then. Okay. So here's the ASIS. Here's the groin. I'm going right in the crease. And what I do is I check in here and see if it's a little tender along the side. He's got some right here. So what I do is I stimulate that. I stimulate here, and then I go to the left side of his neck, above his collarbone, because this drains to the left side of the neck. So what I do is I stimulate both at the same time for about 10 seconds. Then I go to the right side. Why don't you move yourself to the right, okay? I charge extra for that, brother, okay? Then I'm going to do this one here, all right? He's got some here. So I'll go here, and I do the same side of the neck, okay? This side's a little bit worse from what I feel. Go here, same side. Because the lower part of your body and then this in your left arm drain all the lymph to the left side of your neck above your collarbone. Just your right arm and your head goes to the right. 95% of your body drains its toxins to the left side of your neck. So when you stimulate here and here, or your client does it, do this to yourself, right? And even the client can go this way, go knuckle the sacrum, or get on a little crossbar, or hit this, and then do your rock, and then just prepare for the magic. Does that make sense? Right side of the neck here, above the collarbone, where you know where your scalenes come down? It's right there. That's the subclavian vein. That takes the lymph from the body, takes it back to the heart to go back out into the system as plasma. So if you have anything in your body that hurts, you can stimulate that side of your neck and around the body part that hurts to drain the lymph. If it's anything in your right arm, your right pec, or the right head, you do the right side. Okay? So elbow tendonitis on the right, do the right side of your neck. Elbow tendonitis on the this one, do the left side. Got it? Above the collarbone. Right where your scalenes are. Okay? All right. Whew, you guys like that? It's fun, right? All right, awesome. Thank you guys very much. Hopefully I'll see you at my next one. I'll stick around for questions because I know you got lunch if you want to come talk to me.